congratulations on the movie.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I just got to watch it. It was pretty exciting.
You watched the full thing?
I watched every second, which I'm glad because you get in there at the end.
Yeah, I know. I was like, some of those scenes, I was just like, I'm fine. It's fine.
Sometimes I only have time to watch the first 20 minutes or so, but I watched the whole thing for you.
Oh my God, I haven't seen it yet. I'm just so nervous. I would like open my computer and then be like, no, I can't do it. It's fine.
So let's talk a little bit about it. I mean, you've got some big stars in the movie: Antonio Banderas, Kate Bosworth. Talk a little bit about what's that like for you as a young actor to have these big stars.
I was like this all day. I was just like, pinch me. Where am I? What's happening? Like Antonio would walk into the waiting room and I'd just be like, but he's wonderful, and watching him, and then also my other castmate Mojan, who's my love interest in the film, watching them rehearse was like watching an actor's like a professional actors class, because they would just get into it with each other. And I was a sponge, to be honest. I made it my priority to be a sponge because I am, and I was the newbie on that set. And so I was kind of just like, no ego here. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, like I have, of course I've trained, but I think just like acting advice and life advice are kind of the same thing. So when I realized that, every single role that I have, I just kind of like throw my hands up and I'm like, what does this character need from me? And then also like the people around me, how can I absorb their wisdom? So I was really honored to work with them and work with, of course, Kate so closely. We had that very intimate scene together, and I was nervous and it was scary, but she, we had a moment where we connected before. And I think that's, you can't fake chemistry. You truly do have to build that even before off camera. So because we had that foundation of trust, we were able to really like go for it. So I was very honored.
Yeah. Did they give you any specific advice about, it could be career or life advice, about how to approach the role or how to approach your career generally?
Yeah, I mean, well, Mojan said something to me that was really profound. He said, if you feel it in your body, you're doing it right. So for so long, I thought, because your mind knows that you're pretending, but your body doesn't. So when I would start to shake or my body would start to have that visceral reaction, that's when Mojan was like, there, that's it. That's right there. That moment, that feeling of where your whole body just feels super vulnerable. That's when you're truly present. So I now listen more so to my body than my mind, because my mind is like, the camera's rolling, action, da, da, da. But my body, and I'm telling my body what's going on, what's the story, what's happening. And that's where I pull my authenticity. That was a huge learning curve for me, because when you think acting, you think so much here, your brain is just going off. What are the lines? What are these things? Like, what's my overall objective? It's very like analytical, but I'm a very like, emotional person. So I had to learn kind of from my cells, and then let my head be the last thing to create an opinion about it. So that was pretty profound.
Sure. Was there a scene that was the hardest for you? I mean, you mentioned the intimate scene with Kate. Was that the one?
No, the hardest scene for me was definitely the scene where I shoot someone very important in the film and very important in my character's life. That was really hard all day. They were running behind. So I was like trying to stay in that emotional place for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
And by the time I got on set, I was so emotionally, this is like things I've learned now that I won't do to myself anymore. It was like 7 hours of like staying in this dark place. So by the time I got on set, I was so emotionally exhausted that I pulled the director aside and I was like, I don't know if I can like do this anymore. Like I've just been trying to keep myself in that emotion for so long. And he was like, do you feel that like you're done? That feeling of like, I've had enough. I'm like shaking. I can't be here anymore. He was like, use that. And I was like, oh. So I actually used all of that frustration from like waiting for 6 hours for that scene in that moment. So that was just like a combination. And I was like teary eyed right before, because it's hard staying in an emotionally dark place. and then it's also hard getting out of it. So I was learning. Nowadays, I'm like, I trust myself to not go. I don't need a 7 hours of preparation. Do you know what I mean? Like all I need is actually 30 minutes. So because our bodies, like our emotions, you can only maintain and hold them authentically for a certain amount of time. So you kind of have to like get into that mood and that, sadness, like 30 minutes before, not too early, because it starts to feel inauthentic after a while, because you're just like, I actually don't, you start to feel numb. Like, it's just like, oh no, where did the emotions go? Where am I? So that was really hard. But I learned the hard way. So
yeah. So I was going to ask you also, did you do any sort of preparation for it? For this scene, did you have to learn how to use a gun? Was there that kind of training for you?
Luckily I had a bit of like, I learned like stunts. I did my own stunt work. I trained with a bunch of like stunt people for just because I feel like it's a handy, I kind of look at myself as a car. I'm like, what features do I want to come with, like as an actor, and like stunts would be really cool. And so I trained with guns. And so I was lucky that I had that in my toolbox. So I luckily was like, hey, I know how to hold this thing. But my character is not actually comfortable holding those things. Like she's never done that. So it was actually like a perfect combination of, she's never done this before. She's never held a gun. She's never killed someone. So that came out authentically through myself. I was like, I've never shot someone, never done this. So yeah.
Sure. So when you look back at this experience, maybe 20 years from now, is there like a moment maybe behind the scenes with some of these actors that you'll be like, oh yeah, that's the thing that makes me remember this experience?
I mean, I feel like every scene, all I think about is like what actually happened that day and like what actually was going down. So it's like, I don't know if I can ever, and I think that's like maybe the downside of being the one on the screen, is like you can never like truly just watch it for the story's sake, because you like know too much of what was going on. So I would say, yeah, I mean, I unfortunately, I kind of remember like the hard days. I don't know why our brain does that, but I'm like, yeah, I remember like when I suffered the most. That I'll always remember. I don't know.
What was one of those experiences?
Like I said, it was the scene with the gun. And then honestly, like the scenes with like the intimate moments with Mojan, who was playing Stray, my love interest, like those were really vulnerable, because once again, you can't fake chemistry. So we had to build that trust beforehand. And that was scary and new, because it really is like, it can sometimes be the fast food version of connection, because you're just like, how do I create this chemistry so that it portrays on screen? But we did a lot of like really cool exercises. We'd like sit back to back and like breathe together just to like get comfortable around each other's bodies. Cause like, otherwise you're just like, oh, like, I don't know you, what am I doing? So those little exercises really helped. And just like being around each other constantly, like getting used to that.
Yeah. So tell us, what other projects do you have coming out? I saw you have you're working on a couple things right now.
Yeah, well, I have a show coming out with Annalyn McCord. It's called Second Chances, and Denise Richards, Tiffany Hines, and it's a 10-episode drama series. That was like a crash course in acting, because we did like 7-8 scenes a day, whereas like a movie you do like 1 scene a day. So I was tested, but I also loved it because it was, I learned so quick. Like I had no choice. Like I had to be prepared for multiple scenes a day. So that was amazing. And my character in that, she goes through a lot. So I went through a lot as well, which was fantastic. No, it was very interesting to experience some, really dark moments that happened in that TV show. But the next, I do have my next film I'll be shooting next month or the month after. I can't really say much about it because it hasn't been announced yet, but that one I'm really excited about because it's a comedy and it's just like, it's more lighthearted and I feel like I deserved it. I'm like, okay, like I did all of like the serious stuff. Role. I'm like, I'm good. So this one I'm really, really excited about because it's an amazing cast and I get to play younger, get to play 17, which I'm really excited to do because I was homeschooled, so not really having that like high school experience, like that's going to be cool to do.
Thanks for watching the You Interview channel. With over 3,000 original celebrity videos, We have one of the largest collections of celebrity interviews anywhere. So remember to like and comment on our videos and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get more involved, you can become a member of the channel. Membership has its perks. You can see exclusive celebrity videos and get the opportunity to ask our celebrity guests questions. We can't wait to hear from you.